About social roles and social norms. People are social animals and are almost always in the company of others. Being in a group can be both advantages and disadvantages. For example, support groups can provide emotional help and comfort. The advantages could be that the group is more productive and reliable in doing the task together, and there will be more resources gathered, and you will learn new things. But the disadvantage is sometimes when you are in a group, there will always be that person who is not really cooperating. So there is an equal participation. And also, when some of your group does not cooperate, then the decision making takes time. The effects of stress can be reduced considerably by strong social support. So when we say social support, it is the physical and emotional comfort given to you by your family, friends, and other people. It is the knowledge that you are part of a community of people who love and care for you, also value and think well of you. While groups have both negative and positive effects on behaviors, individuals should not avoid groups, but instead make the best out of being in them. As a member of society, each person has a role to play, which may support or complement the roles of other people he or she interacts with. What is social roles? Social roles specify the part or position of a person in society. It also specifies behavior expected to be exhibited by an individual practicing his or her role. Whether aware or not, a person may play several roles, each of which influences the behavior of another individual. For example, a father may play the role of a parent, a spouse, a middle-aged man, a person of Filipino ancestry, a brother, a son, or a mathematics professor. What is social roles? Social roles specify the part or position of a person in society. It also specifies behavior expected to be exhibited by an individual practicing his or her role. Whether aware or not, a person may play several roles, each of which influences the behavior of another individual. For example, a father may play the role of a parent, a spouse, a middle-aged man, a person of Filipino ancestry, a brother, a son, or a mathematics professor. What is social roles? An individual's behavior undergoes changes so as to reflect the behavior of the role he or she plays in particular circumstances. Thus, when a mother is at home, she plays the role of a parent. If she is in office, the manager, then she plays the role of a boss. It is important to note that social roles play an important and active role in society. Without these delineated roles, for example, a student will not know what to expect from his or her teacher. Understanding the roles of others as well as those of one's own facilitate people's ability to work together toward common good. When people work together in groups, the efforts of the different members need to be coordinated with those of others to prevent chaos. So that is why cooperation in a group is very important. This scenario is where the social roles come in. An individual's behavior. So what is sociogram? The sociogram indicates the social structure of a group and the relationship of people within the group. Sociograms are commonly constructed by elementary or preschool teachers to illustrate peer relationships in a class and identify the popular children as well as those who are disliked or isolated. So for example, on a one-fourth sheet of paper, write down your name and the name of your classmates whom you most like to work with in a school project. Pass all your papers to your teacher. Pick one classmate to read the names written on the papers. Ask the help of your teacher in plotting the sociogram. Choose another classmate to plot the sociogram for the class. So a sociogram charts the relationship of people within the group. So what is
Nature and depth of relationships. Relationships are among the most important aspects of our lives. They can be positive or conflicted, but the lack of relationships could be the worst of all as it creates loneliness. As the author John Donne said, no man is an island because we people tend to rely on others for company and comfort because we are not self-sufficient. So it is important to build healthy relationships with others. Familiarity. It refers to being comfortable with another person and is a necessary condition for a close relationship to develop. Friends and lovers are those who have been around together for so long. But there is a reason why we enter into relationships with the same kind of people over and over again, even if we know na they're bad for us and all we want is to be loved. It all comes down to something basic for us humans that we all have in common. That is familiarity. Research has shown that people like to associate with others similar to them in terms of attitudes, behavior patterns, personal characteristics, taste in fashion or clothes, intelligence, and personality. Attraction. Attraction, it paves the way for enjoying the company and being comfortable with the other person. So, attraction may lead to deeper relationships. Even when someone's behavior or personality is already hurtful, on a subconscious level, some part of us may find comfort in the familiarity of that behavior, good or bad, because that environment which they grew up is the only home they've known for so long. So it's easy to judge someone for staying in an abusive relationship and to blame them for staying and accusing them of being weak or wanting to be treated badly. So studies show that we are attracted to what is familiar to us. We are attracted to familiar people because we consider them to be safe and unlikely to cause us harm. But this just doesn't apply to people who look familiar, but also to people who behave in ways familiar to us. So one person can be drawn to another due to the reasons like similarities or differences in interests, personality, life goals, and lifestyle, to name few. This paves way for enjoying company and being comfortable with the other person for feelings of peace and confidence. Love is a special attachment one has for himself or herself or for somebody else. It is an intense feeling of deep or constant affection and emotion in which a person always sees the good, happiness, and welfare of the other. It manifests as love for God, spouse, children, family, or country. Robert Sternberg, an American psychologist and psychometrician, suggests that there are three main components of love: passion, intimacy, and commitment. Love relationships vary depending on the presence or absence of each of these components. Passion refers to the intense physical attraction a partner feels toward the other. Intimacy involves the ability, the shared feelings, personal thoughts, and psychological closeness with the other. The commitment is the conscious decision to stay together. And passion can be found in the early stages of a relationship, but intimacy takes time to develop because it is based on the knowledge of our partner. There are three most common kinds of love. First is romantic love. It is also called passionate love. It includes an intermingling of different emotions like fear, anger, sexual desire, joy, and jealousy. So, romantic love, the components of romantic love is intimacy and passion. But there is no commitment. Partners spend much time with one another and enjoy their closeness, but don't have plans to continue no matter what. This may be true because they are not in a position to make commitments because they are looking for passion and closeness. They are afraid it will die out if they commit to each other. Second is affectionate love. It is also referred to as companionate love. It is the type of love that occurs when someone has deep and caring affection for a person and desires to have him or her near constantly. Intimacy and commitment are the hallmarks of companionate love, but their physical attraction may have never been strong or may have just died out. This may be interpreted as just the way things are. After so much time of being together, there may be a strong sense of regret and loss. Nevertheless, partners are good friends committed to one another. Lastly is consummate love. It is the strongest and fullest type of love. This ideal form of love involves passion, intimacy, and commitment. So, as I've said earlier, intimacy, passion, and commitment are present in consummate love. The couple shares passion. The spark has also not died out. All the closeness is there. They feel like best friends as well as lovers, and they are committed to staying together.
Sure and depth of our relationship. She talked about love, right? But love is, love, defining love is challenging because it is complicated. It is like our emotions. Remember, remember our lessons. Fluctuates wheel of emotions, like the configuration of emotions. It is similar to the triangle theory of love. If in Flush's wheel of emotion, it's all about emotions related to each other and having a corresponding value. Here, it's all about the three components. These are passion, intimacy, and commitment that we will talk about later. So these three components are interrelated to each other too, and will give explanation to what kind of love you have at the moment, or what kind of love you want to have in the future. So in 1985, Robert Sternberg postulated that love is made up of three components: passion, intimacy, and commitment. Passion is something to do with physical and sexual attraction to another. Intimacy is characterized by the emotional feelings and warmth, closeness, and sharing of the relationship. Commitment is the cumulative appraisal of the relationship and the intent to maintain it even in the face of conflict. So before we proceed, as I've read this topic or this concept, or as I've dig deeper, sorry, as I tap in the depths of this concept, I realize that this kind of theory of love is very relevant to what the adolescents or the teens experience nowadays because like the Gen Z nowadays is experiencing this dilemma or this confusion towards what love they feel. And there's a lot of labels nowadays. There's MU, there's Fling. Before it didn't exist. So why did this concept arise? Maybe because humans started to evolve and started to realize the different concepts of love without knowing. And imagine that this concept was made in 1985. And what is it now? 2020, right? A very messed up year, but still. So imagine for a very long time we didn't realize that there was an explanation to why these type of labels or very confusing and complicated relationships are arising. So why is this so? So first explanation is there are different types of love that can be created every time these three components are mixed. For example, if passion intimacy are added together with the absence of commitment, there's a corresponding relationship to that. And without further ado, we will now tackle into that. So the three components of love interact in a systematic manner, but uh, take into consideration or remember that it is metaphorical. There's an abstract explanation to what is that type of love that you are having. This is not scientific. These are more of metaphorical or abstract approach to the types of love or with an explanation if these components are mixed to each other. Or or later you will know that even though it's only a single component, there's a corresponding value to it, or there's a type of love corresponding to it also. So the first type of love is friendship. This type of love is when the intimacy or liking component is present, but feelings or passion or commitment in the romantic sense are missing. Friendship love can be the root of other forms of love. So this is the platonic type of love. Like we like the person because maybe she's like us, or he or she's like us, or we have the same interest with that person. Like example, like if we're in the academy and we have this classmate that we tag along very well and we have the same life and stuff like that, we could be friends. So that is one of the most basic type of love that we experience. Next is infatuation. Infatuation is characterized by feelings of love and physical passion without liking and commitment. There's not been enough time for a deeper sense of intimacy, romantic love, or consummate love to develop. This may eventually arise after the infatuation phase. The initial infatuation is often very powerful. So this is the type of love that we feel, or is the type of feeling that we feel towards an MU or towards someone that we like in that manner because they're very attractive. But um, we are lacking we're lacking commitment and and intimacy. Like there's this like we're very passionate to that person. Like we like them in that way, but we're still questioning ourselves also. Should I dive into this relationship? Like would I like him or her if we're together for a very long time, or like because there are a lot of factors. So infatuation is like the starting point, or this is like the strongest point in which it develops into the next form of love, which is romantic love. So what is romantic love? Romantic love bonds people emotionally for intimacy and physical passion. Partners in this type of relationship have deep conversations that help them know intimate details about each other. They enjoy sexual passion and affection. These couples may be at that point where long-term commitment or future plans are still undecided. So maybe I got you like off guard with that. So even though so it says here that future plans are still undecided. So yes, passion and intimacy may be present, but commitment is still in question. Like you want to be with that person intimately, and you're passionate to that person, pero you're still having questions if you would want to commit. Why? Like in a long term manner. Why? Because maybe you started this relationship young and you still have your goals to reach. Because we don't know what tomorrow have for us. Like we're not certain of the future. That's why these are like this is the type of love that we experience with our jowa, our merons, and all. So this is the type of love that we experience like nowadays. Like in this time of our lives, ito yung relationship na feel natin. Unless, I know, baka sure ka na, but I highly doubt that because we're still very young. So the next is empty love. So empty love is characterized by commitment without passion and intimacy. So empty love, so, commitment, pero walang passion and intimacy, absent siya. So like it's confusing, right? Like how could you commit to something that you're not passionate or intimately attracted to? Maybe it's a necessity. like like yung mga fixed marriages. Maybe because I made research and MPLAM is like the fixed marriage like it is done so that the company would survive or the inheritance would um, would flourish. So empty love happens. But I also have research that there's may chance naman daw na minsan these two people find love like and nagpropagate yung love nila into the next level. And if I will, kasi wala naman siguro fixed marriage dito sa atin dito. So, for us to, understand this concept, Jerwin, relate ko to sa, let's just say na, or a subject na super hard. Like, it's something na ayaw talaga natin. Pero, we still study it. Bakit? It's a necessity. It's a necessity. It's for our studies, and it's for our future. So, even though we're not passionate about math, or maybe you can't draw well, or may arts ka, tapos kasali siya sa unit mo, or sa subject mo, ginagawa mo siya, di ba? Like, for example, P, di ka marunong sumayaw, you're having trouble dancing, or singing, or you still do it. Even in the, even in a quintessential mediocre way, di ba? So, you still do it because you need to commit because it's a necessity because you need to for your future or for something dahil may gusto kang ma-achieve kaya nag-commit ka kahit you're not passionate and intimate to that particular subject or to that particular person. Next is companionate love. Companionate love is an intimate but non-passionate sort of love. It includes the intimacy or liking component and the component commitment in the triangle. So, ano ba yung companionate love? So, this is the type of love na higit natin sa parents natin. For example, 10 years na kayong magkasama, 20 years. You sometimes lose the passion or fire, like yung sexual drive, minsan nawawala. Kasi medyo matagal na kayong magkasama, tapos na kayo. Pero, that love, may ano pa rin, may intimacy, like you still live together, like you're still very close to each other, like you're friends, tapos you're bonded ba like as a friend tapos may ano pa tapos you have this commitment to that person kasi nga diba you are married to that person may responsibilities na kayo na sineshare with each other so that is companion love ito yung love na most umikita sa mga friends natin. Every time we look at our friends like hindi na sila sweet but they tag along hindi naman sila nag-aaway. Like, they're just that typical couple na naghaharutan pa, gano'n. But, yeah. So, that is command. So, fast is love. Ito. Ito yung pinaka-intriguing, ito yung pinaka-complicated na ito. Love. Bakit? Kasi this type of love, commitment and passion are present. Intimacy or liking is absent. Fastest love is typified by a whirlwind courtship in which passion motivates a commitment that the stabilizing influence of intimacy. Ito yung mga tao, love ka daw, tapos feeling siya mag-commit sa'yo, pero ayaw niya na lagi niya magkasama. So, this type of love na, like, can you like meet, like, every once a week lang, something like that? Maybe because, the main reason for this is, ayaw niyang nasasakal. Like, yes, you love each other, but you care for you want your personal space more than the space that you have every time you are with that person that you are in a relationship with. And this type of love, even though there's commitment and passion, unfortunately, hindi na nagpropagate sa marriage. Bakit? Kasi yung marriage, you are willing to confine in the same domicile with that person or in the same roof with that person. And if you can't do that, then you can't progress. Kung gusto mo ng relationship, like, yes, you're committed, your relationship is, you're loyal to that person or faithful, but you cannot be intimate with that person because nasakal ka, then this won't progress. Hanggang doon lang kayo. So, that is not just love. Ultimate love. So, ito yung sana all na type of love. Di ba remember the title? There's passion, intimacy, and commitment. Ito yung 3-in-1. Ito yung coffee ko. Ito yung coffee ko na type of relationship. So, ito yung, ito yung ito yung nandun na lahat ng ingredients ng love. So, consummate love is made up of all three components and is the total form of love. Diba? It represents an ideal relationship. Couples who experience this kind of love have great sex several years into their relationship. They cannot imagine themselves with anyone else. They also cannot see themselves truly happy without their parents. They manage to overcome differences and face pressures together. So, ito yung like, type of love na nag natin sa mga, minsan sa mga lola natin at lolo. Like, even though matagal na sila, like, imagine, like, 40 years na silang magkasama, tapos we still see them have this friend, have this, like, sweet banter with each other, like nag-memorize yung mga LQ na sweet, gano'n. Tapos, like, nag-joke-joke pa si lolo kay lola, may mga banat pa. Like, ito yung type of love na, this is like, this is the type of love that is very hard to maintain naman. Ito yung high maintenance na type of love. Kasi, you are giving it all. Kung baga sa triangle, ito yung, di ba, kwartong holy trinity ng pagmamahal. Kasi nandiyan na lahat. Ito na yung epitome of love. Diba? Ito yung quintessential type of love. Now, siguro gusto natin, di ba? Kasi ito na yung love na we feel na we have it all. So, ito yung love na we can celebrate. So, so yeah. So, those are the types of love. But before we end, I just like to have some additional information. So, first is, first is, I want you guys to know that love is a verb. According to Dr. Sternberg, consummate love may be harder to maintain than it is to achieve, as the components of love must be put into action. Without behavior and expression, passion is lost, and love may revert back to the companion of life. So, kaya, kaya minsan, di ba, like what I said earlier, like, yung mga parents natin, minsan naging sweet, something like that. Kasi nagkulangan ng consistency. Like, maybe there's this day na we started to feel like not that clingy anymore to each other, tapos yun, nag-progress na siya into that companionate love na wala ng passion. So, pero sa love is a verb. Because love is a continuous act. Because remember that people wake up with a different emotion every single day. So, pag gising mo sa umaga, you might feel sad, you might feel happy, you might feel afraid of something. So, love is a verb because you need to continuously show in a consistent manner the love that you feel or the love that you want to feel with that person. Kaya, and it should be vice versa. Diba? That person should be the same. Not the same, because it's pretty absurd, diba? But at least, you reach that point kung saan nagtutugma yung gusto niyong love. Like, ikaw pala yung gusto mo, ganitong love, at siya ganito. So, you won't reach that point kung saan nagtutugma kayo. So that is why clear things out and be sure to what type of love you have and be consistent in showing that. Lastly, your relationship is unique. According to Dr. Sternberg, the importance of each component of love may differ from person to person and couple to couple. So that is why sinabi ko kanina, abstract love. This is a metaphorical approach of explaining love because relationship is unique. Like like they may say na minsan toxic yung label, they may say na friends ko ito, ganito, ganito kami, ganito, ganito. Do not bother listening to those people because what you should take into consideration is the relationship that you guys have. Ask yourself, is this relationship healthy? Is this the relationship that I want or we both want? Yun dapat yung question. You don't mind external factors because those are the things that will bring that relationship down. Kahit yung friendship man lang yan. So, don't ever bother other individuals for judging the relationship you have. If as long na masaya ka, and as long that you're psychologically okay with that, like and physically and psychologically okay with that, then there's nothing wrong. And if both sides are are in benefit, tapos wala namang nasasaktan, then what's the point of listening to that? So what kung wala kayong legal? So what kung friends na kayo that's ganun din? Diba? Do not ever bother of those things because what matters that is that you are gaining something in that relationship and as long as it's healthy, there's nothing wrong with it. So that is all for today. I hope guys na you learned something from me. And sorry if I blabbered some words na so hindi ako naintindihan and if may background noise na, I'm very sorry for that. So, I really hope you guys enjoyed I hope guys you really enjoyed I know what I've talked about, and I hope you guys have a nice day. Good night. Thank you.
So let us now tackle about attitudes. Attitudes are beliefs that predispose people to act and feel in certain ways towards people, objects, or ideas. Attitudes can either be positive or negative. Positive attitude is reflected in a happy, pleasant, or optimistic disposition. For example, enjoying the unexpected even when it's not what you wanted originally, meaning that despite having an unexpected outcome, we are still happy or grateful for such a thing. And for negative attitude, it is associated with pessimism or a general feeling of dislike. Example, having improper thoughts inside your head like I am not good enough, meaning you're giving yourself a hard time thinking of things that are out of your control. So there are three distinct features of an attitude. It includes beliefs, feelings, and disposition. So this is how attitude originated. Generally, the attitudes of a person develop over time and have emotional components. However, they are normally acquired from two sources: the first-hand experience and that caused by others. First, people develop positive or negative attitudes towards certain objects because of direct experience with it. Second, attitudes are also learned from others through modeling and reinforcement. Persuasion and attitude change. Attitudes are not permanent. They can be changed or modified even after they have been formed. Persuasive communication plays a big part in this process because the extent of change in the attitude depends on the speaker, the message, and the listener. If the speaker is a credible source of information, he or she is more likely to persuade a person to change or modify his or her attitude. The more credible the speaker is, the more persuasive the message becomes. Moreover, speakers tend to be less persuasive if their intention to change a person's view is obvious, more so if the speaker will gain something by changing one's opinion. An attractive speaker is also more effective in changing opinions than an unattractive speaker, but it seems to be limited to trivial or unimportant issues. Certain characteristics of the message also lead to attitude change. Messages that contain the element of fear seem more able to persuade changes in attitude or thoughts.
Stereotypes are Stereotypes are generalizations in which the same traits or characteristics are assumed to be possessed by all members of a group. It is often unfair and untrue belief that many people have about all people or things with a particular characteristic. Some stereotypes are based on an outsider's experience with a number of people and are oftentimes proven inaccurate. Some examples of this would be: there are many hungry people in Africa, so I can say that Africans are poor. Ilocanos are tightwads. Visayans are fun-loving. Kapampangan women cook better than other groups of women. Asians are the worst drivers in the world. So we have two negative stereotypes: prejudice and discrimination. Prejudice is an unfair feeling of dislike for a person or group because of race, sex, religion, etc. An example of this would be: overweight women are not as intelligent as women of normal weight. Discrimination is the practice of unfairly treating a person or group of people differently from other people or groups of people. Example: an employer refusing to hire women because of their gender.
The difference of these two is that prejudice is the thought, while discrimination would be the behavior. There are two kinds of discrimination: racism and sexism. Racism is the belief that some races or ethnics are better than others. An example of this would be a black person couldn't get inside the pub because of his skin color. Sexism is the discrimination of people because of their sex. Example: a woman was refused to participate in the bodybuilding competition because of her gender. These four are connected because acting on prejudice leads to discrimination, and discrimination because of skin color is racism, and discrimination because of gender is sexism. There are many people suffering from these stereotypes anywhere in the world. We just have to know how to fight against it without hurting anyone. However, please remember that the words that people tell us are mostly opinions and not a fact.